Let's talk a bit about government's take on incubators. As per Niti Aayog, business incubators are institutions that support entrepreneurs in developing their businesses, especially in the initial stages. The support provided by them includes mentoring and advisory support, technological facilities and advices, initial growth funds called seed funding, creating social capital by network and linkages, co-working spaces, lab facilities, and encouraging academic entrepreneurs. Incubators assists in approaching angel investors, government organizations, venture capitalists, and other investors for obtaining further capital. Incubators work as the strategic vehicle for taking research and knowledge based products to the society through inculcating right business guidance to the incubatee startup. As a part of this initiative, Niti Aayog will provide financial support to selected academic and non-academic institutes and organizations to set up the Atal Incubation Center to support and encourage startups in specific subjects or sectors such as manufacturing, transport, energy, health, education, agriculture, water, and sanitation, and would provide them with necessary infrastructure facilities and other value added services. In round 1, some of the proposals that got selected for building up of incubator were from places like Banasthali Vidyapeeth, Tonk, Rajasthan, Indian School of Business Mohali campus, Shivnadar University, Uttar Pradesh, among others. In the May 2018 round, that is the second round of call for applications by the Atal Innovation Mission, a total of 2,676 applications were received for setting up new incubation centers and also for the scale up support of existing business incubators by the Atal Innovation Mission. 10 existing and 72 new incubators have been shortlisted for the grant in aid consideration in 2 consecutive phases. Now, let's turn our attention to what this scheme is all about. The objective of the scheme is to promote and establish world-class incubation centers in specific subject sectors identified by the Government of India such as manufacturing, transport, energy, health, biotechnology, housing, education, agriculture, water and sanitation in India. Innovative and technology based startups in these specific sectors are supported by these incubators. And of course, the kind of support these incubation centers are expected to provide varies from providing working space to networking with the venture capitalists. Although this scheme extends to corporate applicants along with academic and R&D research institutes, but we shall only focus on academic applicants in this lecture. Let's quickly touch upon the expected outcomes as is outlined in the scheme. First, the incubatees or the tenant startups are expected to create a sustainable, scalable and profitable business model, of course with guidance from their faculty mentors at the incubation center. Secondly, the incubators are expected to provide physical infrastructure and value-added support services to the teen startups. Thirdly, creating a strong network of mentors who would provide sector-specific knowledge and real-world practical guidance. A number of successful entrepreneurs and industry experts are associated with the Mentor India program of the government, who will nurture, guide and facilitate the startups under the programs of Atal Innovation Mission. A mentor in this program can be a person, organization, entity who will engage with one or more schools equipped with Atal Tinkering Labs and startups under the programs of Atal Innovation Mission on an ongoing basis. Also engage themselves in providing volunteer services in the form of guest lectures and hands-on training and guidance to the incubatee startups. These mentors are also designated as mentors of change by Atal Innovation Mission. Fourthly, providing hands-on training through mentorship programs Then conducting events and programs wherein partnerships with academia, industry, funding sources, existing incubators and others for the incubate startups to leverage the network. Also enabling pilot implementation of ideas, products or services and building collaborative team with research orientation are mostly the expected outcome of the scheme. Moving on to some of the other features of the scheme. Most relevant for all of us is that the educational institutes are eligible to apply under the scheme for establishing incubators at their premises. Secondly, collaboration with different colleges or corporates is possible, but the entity providing space for the incubation shall be considered as applicant under this scheme. While applying the application for Atal Incubation Center, the applicant can focus on maximum of 3 primary sectors as specified in the scheme. A typical feature of the scheme is that the selected applicant will be required to form a Section 8 company or a private limited company for incubation center. Next, the affairs of the incubators are to be managed by an advisory board. The board should not only help in the development of a strategic business plan and targets to achieve the desired results, but also in managing the incubator efficiently and effectively. The board shall be represented by the promoters and reputed professionals. This may include representatives of funding agency, SIDBI, host institution that is the applicant, industry, VC companies, entrepreneurs, student bodies and tenants of the incubator. These representatives may also be members of the selection committee for admission of the incubatees. The board, however, gives ample autonomy to CEO for managing the operations of the incubator well. Let's look upon the grant or the funding support that's provided under this scheme. Successful applicants are given a grant of up to rupees 10 crore over a period of 5 years to establish incubation center. This grant will cover the capital and operational expenditure. The amount may of course vary depending upon the business proposal presented by the applicant academic institute. The applicant is strongly encouraged to make the incubator self-sustainable over a period of 5 years. I would also like to emphasize the expectations from the applicant academic institute. The government expects, first, the applicant would have to provide at least 10,000 square feet of ready-to-use built-up space for the exclusive use of the incubator. The cost of land or rent for office space is not allowed to be taken from the grant money. Secondly, the Atal Incubation Center would also put in place a dedicated full-time chief executive officer, that's the CEO, with desired domain and management expertise, along with other core team and supporting staff for its successful operations within 6 months from the date of release of funds. The applicant will have full freedom to decide the composition, recruitment and compensation of the CEO as well as the management team of the Atal Incubation Center. As expected, the incubation center set up and registered under Companies Act should have incubation facilities such as competent team members who understand the incubation and startup ecosystem and have the ability to successfully guide the incubatee startups, can provide infrastructure such as incubation space, meeting rooms, conference space and facilities, tech support such as sector-specific labs and workshops that have tools and equipment, seed funding support, other support services such as IPR, regulatory, legal, market research, so on and so forth. The Atal Incubation Center should also conduct outreach activities, build a network of mentors, subject matter experts and investors, devise training programs and or other incubation related events, building the overarching entrepreneurship ecosystem for incubatee startups working with the respective incubator. The academic institute that's applicant here has to play an important role not only in the establishment of the incubator but also in the smooth and efficient functioning. As we have already understood that the requirement of 10,000 square feet of land is the foremost condition. So only those institutions or organizations that can provide land and built up space for incubator and are also willing to share their available facilities and expertise would be considered for setting up of the incubator. Host institute or the academic applicant should demonstrate its commitment and responsibility towards the incubator. It will provide a suitable built up area for 15 years wherein the incubator could be set up besides provision of utilities such as electricity, network connectivity and water. The institute can work up the cost and on mutually agreeable charges also has to ensure availability of lab, testing facilities, library, mainframe computer and faculty support to the teen and startups. Now an important question for the interested faculty members is, how do we file an application under this scheme? College faculty interested to apply for the Atal Incubation Center within their college can apply online at the website of Niti Aayog. The prescribed application formats are given at the Annexure 2, 3 and 4 on the ministry's portal. Guidelines are revised from time to time, so the college faculty is suggested to go through the latest guidelines while applying. Now, let's look at the case of a grant provided by Department of Science and Technology or DST, as it's popularly known as, our second scheme for discussion. The Department of Science and Technology, Government of India is also supporting technology business incubators primarily in and around academic, technical and management institutions to tap innovations and technologies for venture creation by utilizing the expertise and infrastructure that's already available with the host institution. I would, however, only discuss the points that are relevant for an academic institution. The scheme is also applicable to non-academic applicants as we have just seen. Now, considering the eligibility requirements of applicant, first, the proposal to DST may be submitted by an academic, technical, R&D institution called the host institution and other institutions with a proven track record in promotion of technology based entrepreneurship, which means that corporate research labs are also eligible under this scheme. Second, the incubator has to be registered as a society, a trust or a Section 8 company, essentially a non-profit entity. Third, other than state or central government colleges or universities, the host institute should be in existence for at least 3 years. So, by implication, government colleges are exempt from this condition. The requirements and conditions are pretty much similar in both the schemes I just discussed, so I'll just skip going in detail for this one. I would rather like to quickly discuss the application part though. Proposal to DST should be forwarded by head of the host institute in the manner prescribed by DST. It should be submitted in both online and 2 hard copies have to be sent to Member Secretary DST. The complete address is given in the guidelines on their web page. The proposals can be submitted all through the year while these are reviewed only twice a year. Like in the Atal Incubation Center, here too a governing body will be set up who will monitor the functioning of the incubator and it will meet every 6 months to review its progress. At a later stage, the incubator may apply separately under Seed Support System scheme of DST after minimum of 5 number of incubatees are in place and there is a genuine requirement of seed support for nurturing the incubatees to take their startups to next level. This is somewhat like the scale-up support given to incubators by the Atal Innovation Mission. Now, to get the practical insights of faculty's role in establishing an incubator, I spoke with Dr. Pooran Singh, the faculty in charge of Catalyst, the incubator at IIT Mandi. When asked about the general requirements the applicant institution should fulfill before applying for establishment grants, he responded that the host institute needs dedicated office space for full-time staff of incubator, office space for startups that you support, space for experiments, product building, that is a lab or a workshop, space for instruments, machines, etc. that will be used by startups, some recreation or hangout space for the startups, a seminar hall, meeting room, conference rooms, etc. He further mentioned that at IIT Mandi they have about 12,000 square feet of dedicated space to accommodate about 25 teams or 40 to 50 individuals. Then, I was particularly keen to find out the ratio of faculty's involvement with incubator vis-a-vis teaching. For example, how many person hours per week faculty will have to devote to incubator, to which he responded as, for a well-functioning incubator, at least 2 faculty members have to be involved to coordinate the effort, like about 8 to 12 hours a week, assuming presence of full-time support. B. For startups, a good pull can be expertise of faculty. So about 10 to 15 faculty should be actively participating. That's about 1 to 2 hours a week, and this is mainly to the mentoring of startups. I was also eager to know if there are any more government or corporate funding agencies that offer grants for setting up incubators. Dr. Singh mentioned about the 2 schemes that we have already discussed, that is Atal Incubation Mission and DST. Besides these 2, he added that the state governments have their separate policies or the schemes for incubators, and various ministries also give funds to running incubators for their smooth operations. I also asked him to throw some light on the existing startup and faculty involvements at the Catalyst, IIT Mandi. He mentioned that at IIT Mandi they have seen some very good faculty startup linkage or the engagement. They have had about 5 faculty-led startups. About 10 to 15 faculty members are actively engaged in mentoring startups on technical aspects of the product building. Their startups have been given business assignments for national research project too. Faculty members are offered equity stake by a startup for his or her technical inputs and assistance in the market linkages. I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Singh for sharing his inputs on faculty engagement with incubators located within the institute's premises. Now, it would also be interesting to talk about certain incubating startups which made it to the success after graduating from their respective incubators. These startups are randomly selected just to give a fair idea to the learners that incubators do lead to meaningful results. First among these is iCure. This startup graduated from Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Park Technology Business Incubator that's based out in IIT Kharagpur. This incubator helps the young firms to survive and grow by providing specialized support services during the critical period of a business venture, that is the startup phase, the initial phase. It provides space as well as seed fund to the startups. iCure was incepted in April 2010. iCure entered the healthcare market as a social enterprise with incubation support from the IIT Kharagpur, along with Webel Venture Fund, an early stage incubator established by the government of West Bengal. The founder of the startup said that they started iCure to not only provide affordable and accessible healthcare in rural India, but also to ensure that their services meet the expectations of the patients, clients and investors. Their product idea is called as WHIMS, that is Wireless Health Incident Monitoring System, which is an in-house software that enables treating patients in a more remote setting where access to hospitals and clinics are limited. It's a cloud-based web application that works on low bandwidth and acts as an interface between rural and urban. The monitored device enabled with video conferencing applications help to store patients' medical history and record consultations for future reference. iCure's healthcare model has acquired extensive support from uh, across the globe for being innovative, technologically balanced, advanced, and sustainable. Second startup that we will briefly touch upon is Itraveller. Itraveller that graduated from Startup Village Kochi. Startup Village is a technology business incubator in Kochi, and it is India's first incubator that is funded jointly by the public and private sector. The promoters of Startup Village and Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, Technopark Trivandrum, and Mob ME Wireless. Itraveller was founded in September 2011. Itraveller.com was born out of mere curiosity to explore something new in a fresh domain. As the name suggests, it's a company providing travel packages by customizing them depending upon clients' requirements with the intervention of technology, of course. They tasted success quite early in their journey. In this journey, the important lesson that was learned by founders was the importance of blending human touchpoints and technology to deliver long-lasting customer experiences. And this became their forte in some time. As every startup dreams of getting noticed by a big player, so was the case with Itraveller. They got the attention of international player in the same domain, that's lastminute.com, and was relaunched in India as lastminute.com India in February 2019. The third and the last startup that we'll talk about is Critical Solution Private Limited from IIT Delhi. These two last tasted success early on after graduating from an incubator. In April of 2002, Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta, the managing director of the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, an industrial interface organization of IIT Delhi, gave a talk on the prospects of entrepreneurship as an alternative career option. After getting inspired by this talk, 7 students approached Professor Sen Gupta with the idea of developing cutting-edge technologies that would transform the future. Together with these students and 5 faculty members of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Delhi decided to start a company called Critical Solutions. In August of 2002, Critical became the first student faculty-led technology startup to have successfully incubated from within IIT Delhi. The founder's vision, Creations for Tomorrow, encapsulated a 2-point agenda to build a company that produces cutting-edge technology products through disruptive innovations and a company that effectively leverages the transfer of technology from academia to the industry. In addition to developing its own products and compiling a rich store of its own licensable intellectual property, Critical has in the last 14 years been responsible for over 50 product realizations. It has worked with over 150 customers in India, North America, Europe, and Southeast Asia. Its team of highly experienced experts and innovators now number over 90. Now this brings us to the end of this module. If we have to look at the learning outcomes of the current lecture, we have so far understood India's take on entrepreneurship, prevalent ecosystem for building up startup culture in India, incubators and motivation for faculty to get involved, role of faculty in setting up business incubators, a few grants to academic institutions for establishing the incubators in the premises, and a few success stories to conclude. Though I have provided some nuts and bolts of the support system for entrepreneurship in India, the best outcome of this lecture would be some of you actually taking a plunge in the field and set up incubators at your college or university, thus contributing to the nation's growth. Thank you.